Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth Umineko podcast. We finished the fourth question arc, so now we're talking about the fourth question episode.
Whoa, fourth question episode.
Whoa! Okay,
Oh,
so you said that you wanted to start this off by asking me some questions about stuff that...
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to ask some questions. Yeah, you said you had questions ready.
Because I forget. So, I guess we'll just go down like the first, the first six people who are killed were Ada, Rudolph, Rosa, Natsui, Hideyoshi, and Genji.
In this episode?
In this episode.
So the first six people were killed were who?
Ava, Rudolph, Rosa, Natsui, Hideyoshi, and Genji.
Yeah.
So I want to know how they died again, because I forget.
Okay. So the way that the story went was Kinzo came in. Mm-hmm. This is another reason why I told you to watch that Mike Eats Food one.
I tried to, but then I forgot again.
The Kinzo comes in and he's all like, "Oh, none of you guys are good enough to be to carry on the family name."
So,
yeah.
All right.
So he goes and he says he's going to kill all of them. They're all going to be part of the sacrifice. And then Nanjo's all like, "Hey, what about your grandchildren? They might be able to." So then Kinzo's all like, "Okay, I'll start a test for the grandchildren. But right now I need 6 sacrifices to start off the ceremony." So he gets the Chester sisters in there. And he introduces Gop. That's when the first time Gop shows up too.
Gap,
and
right.
Yeah. Well, Gap, that's how Virgilia shortens it to. But it's Gop. And the Chester sisters shoot the 6 with the bows, then smash half their faces.
Okay. Right.
And Gop opens up a hole for the others to fall into, and that's how they end up in that prison cell, as they fall through the hole into the prison cell.
Right, okay. So that's how they first died.
Yeah.
It was like, the Chester sisters fired arrows at them, they died, and then Gap opened up a hole, and then they all fell down. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, now it's time to figure out what the fuck happened there. Actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, remember, Kinzo's actually dead.
Yes. So, it wasn't actually him. Mm-hmm. It was an aspect of him. The archetype of Kinzo, if you would. Or something along those lines.
And who is that?
The successor. It might even be just in a little what is it called? Letter that he did that in. It could have been.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track with that.
It wasn't his actual physical presence. It was more just the idea of him. And then people actually died though. So we got to figure that out. So the most logical explanation is that they were shot by someone who wasn't there.
Well, yeah, if you're going by its successor or the idea of him, it would be that person who had shot them.
Right. And so, we don't really know who that could be, except for Battler, George, and Jessica, and Maria. So those are the people who were going to succeed him. Mm-hmm. But then, see, I don't think it was actually them.
Yeah, well, they'd succeed him if they were able to pass the test.
Yeah, if they were able to.
But we'd have to assume that the test wasn't being given by Kinzo, but by this other person as well.
And there's no 19th person. In fact, there's not even an 18th person.
Yeah, there's no 19th person. There's no 18th person. There's 17 people on the island. No more than 17.
And so,
And that means that any scene that has Kinzo in it is a magic scene, even from the first episode.
Right. Yes. What the fuck? Nanjo talked to him in the first episode. Maybe.
Yeah, that's how it starts off. The whole thing starts off with Kenzo talking to Nanjo. Yeah. Although some people think that certain scenes with Kinzo actually did happen just in the past.
Oh, right.
And then other scenes are completely fabricated.
Okay. And so, I guess the most likely suspect for the first 6 people murder, I guess, would have to be What were some of the reasons? One guy didn't one guy say that like they all shot each other at the same time? Didn't Battler say that for this one?
No, that wasn't for this one. That was for I think that was for one of the ones from episode 3.
Okay. And so I guess the person
they didn't really go through episode 4 that much. Yeah.
Not really, no. Right.
Because some of the stuff that Battler had explained from the other episodes explained everything in episode 4, so then they didn't talk about it much. I forget what it was though. I think it was that Kinzo wasn't alive, and the 18th person did everything. But there is no 18th person.
No. It's only the people there right now. And so we look at the survivors. It was Kraus and Kiri. And so my guess is maybe those 2 killed them. It's
Kraus and Kyrie?
Kraus and Kyrie.
They're working together. You think that Kyrie killed
her own husband?
Yeah,
maybe.
You think that Kraus killed
his own wife?
Matsui?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, are they secretly together? Do you think that they're gonna?
I'm not gonna ship Umineko characters. I'll leave that to Tumblr.
Well, that could be a motive.
It could be a motive.
If for them to kill their husband and wife.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to go down this rabbit hole any longer.
Okay.
Because it's getting too complicated. The simplest answer is usually the most correct one. And so I guess the most simple one would be
it's the answer that has the least assumptions.
Right,
is what Occam's razor.
Least assumptions.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Then I guess my most reasonable suspects would be the servants. Like maybe not just the servants, but maybe no.
If you're going to suspect anyone in that group, then wouldn't you have to suspect all of them?
Yes.
Since they're all together? They were all together that whole time?
Yeah. Damn it. Well, let's just say the potential successor. For now. Which might be Maria. Who knows? Maybe Maria's a mastermind.
Yeah, because Kinzo was all like, oh, Maria's test went great. But then Maria ended up dead in the fucking dining hall.
Yeah,
somehow.
I guess she didn't do good enough. But yeah, so for now, let's leave it as like the potential successor killed everyone.
Okay.
Then, so the next set of murders. Who died?
Wait.
What?
So we're going through the murders now?
I guess. Let's just do it how we normally do it.
Oh, well, I usually ask you what the answer to the riddle of the epitaph is first.
Okay, yeah.
And then we do the murders.
Right, okay.
So we already did the first murders, but let's go into the riddle of the epitaph before going into the second murders, because I thought you were asking me questions.
I tried to, but then I forgot all my questions.
Oh, yeah, because I'm already planning on going through the murders with you.
Okay.
If that's all the questions that you have is about the murders, then you don't need to ask me any questions.
All right, pretty much. That's all,
okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, yeah, you don't need to ask me any questions then. What was that noise?
That was me opening Umineko so I can see all the tips.
Ah, okay. So, yeah, well, what do you think about the riddle of the epitaph?
Man, the riddle of the epitaph is pretty cool. Well, let me look at it. Riddle of the epitaph. So, behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved hometown. You who see it, the golden line follow its path downstream. This is the key. So, Sweetfish River, I remember in one of the episodes they were talking about like Sweetfish River being like a synonym for like, what is it called? Like generations, like generations of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems also that there are characters that mean two different things. So I think this is like a syllogism. Is that what it's called? A syllogism.
I don't know. I was going to say like a Japanese pun or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically there's two ways to interpret this, it seems like. And then somehow with the epitaph, you get the answer to, like, you get an order in which to kill people.
Well, it says the order in which to kill people, like, very bluntly in the epitaph. You don't have to figure anything out to get that.
Well, no, but, like, isn't it chosen by the key? And so the key has to be, like, something. So what would the key even be?
I don't know. Beatrice just seems to pick randomly. So if that's where you're going with it, then wouldn't Beatrice be the key?
Would Beatrice be the key? I guess, for now. That does... Follow spot downstream in search of the key. Who seek the golden land, follow spot downstream. So that makes sense because you find Beatrice as you search for the golden land.
Well, yeah, we did. We found her. She's there.
She's somewhere. But I think the key is. I feel like the key is something else. Like the key is not. I feel like maybe the word key might be able to be translated different ways in Japanese. So I'll have to look at that later.
Okay.
Or maybe something like that. So as you travel down, you see a village. In the village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. So the two will tell you of. Who is this two people? Who even knows? I don't even know.
Maybe, are they even people?
Are they even people?
It's just two things that they'll tell you. They'll tell you something. Maybe they're notebooks. Maybe they're clay bricks. I don't know.
Maybe they're atlases.
Well, they did open up a book in the library.
They did. And then there sleeps the key to the Golden Land. So maybe by looking at atlases, you find the location. And so maybe it's like location is the key.
Like echolocation.
Yeah, like echolocation. Like,
That's the key.
That's the key. You just gotta use your echolocation, dude. Duh. Alright, next one. The one who obtains the key must then travel to the Golden Land in accordance with these rules. And then there's a bunch of rules. And so basically, you have to kill him in a specific order. I don't know why the order is important. But for some reason, the order is important because it's some sort of ritual.
I'm going to ask a question. Yeah. So remember when Rosa and Ava solved the riddle of the epitaph?
Yes.
Remember how nobody died when they solved the riddle?
Nobody died when they solved the riddle.
Yeah, nobody was dead yet.
Oh. Right. Yeah, I think I know what you're on to. So it seems like this epitaph is like just you got to solve it first, and like you got to get through it first.
Or actually, no, I'm wrong. No? The servants were dead. The servants were dead before they solved it, but still, the whole epitaph, they hadn't killed that many people, is what I'm trying to say.
They haven't killed that many people. Okay, so maybe the 6 like started it off. could be something like
But
that.
how did they... You said that in order to solve the epitaph, you have to do these killings.
Did I say
But
that?
that's what you were saying. That's what it sounded like you were saying. Maybe I
Well, like, they solve the...
misunderstood.
Yeah, maybe. I'm saying that, like, the epitaph is, like, you gotta solve the epitaph in order to realize it. And so it's like, well, no, not actually. Wait, never mind. So you can solve it, but, like, the epitaph is, like, it's gonna happen anyways, but it's happening with people on the island itself. And so people are acting out the epitaph. What am I even trying to say? I'm saying that that the epitaph, they get the epitaph, they solve the epitaph, and then they complete the epitaph, and then they get the rewards. But the epitaph is going to happen either way.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to happen necessarily.
It doesn't have to happen if you solve it. But they solved it, and then nothing happened.
Well, when they solved it, Ava started killing people.
All right, Ava started. Yeah. So
because she wanted the gold.
Right, yeah. So Ava, like, it starts it, and if you fucking find it out, then it's like, hey, now we gotta do this, or else we won't get the golden land. So you gotta actually do it.
No, she didn't want to get to the golden land. She wanted to kill everyone else and take the gold, right?
That's like the golden land.
Well, I guess so,
Kinda.
except she could have shared the golden land with everybody else, though, but she decided not to. She still would have went to the golden land. She just would have gotten a little less gold.
What? So she would have...
What I'm saying is that once the riddle of the epitaph was solved, the killings didn't necessarily need to go on.
Oh!
She just did it because she wanted the gold.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Because she wanted it all for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Rosa. Didn't she kill Rosa or something?
Yeah, Rosa was the first one she killed, I think.
Right,
She
yeah.
strangles Rosa, and... No, she strangles Maria, and she throws Rosa on the gate.
Right,
with
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the epitaph means. It's basically, she decided to keep all the gold for herself. Instead of ending the game and going to the golden land, she was like, nah, this is mine. I'm going to keep the gold. It's my gold. That's weird.
And do you have anything else to say about the epitaph before we go on to the second murders?
No.
Okay, so second murders were Jessica and George, right?
Jessica and George?
Yeah, those were the next murders.
Okay.
Those were tear apart the two who were close.
Oh, okay.
Jessica and George.
Okay.
George went fought Gop, and Jessica fought Ronave, and Ronave and Gop did a trick to make Jessica and George accidentally hit each other with their most powerful Super Saiyan punches, the kicks that they could.
Yeah. So that can be explained. So you know how all this stuff is like, so they see Kenzo, but Kenzo's not actually there because he never exists, because he was dead all the time. But they still saw him. And so, maybe the same kind of trick was used in order to get Jessica and George to fight each other. But they see different things in them. And so Ronave...
Well, what sort of trick are you talking about?
I'm talking about fucking insanity. Or,
okay.
or like hallucinations. Or fucking something. Who knows? Who knows who fucking did that? It's fucking weird. It hasn't been denied yet, so... So... Yeah, essentially, this is what kind of happened. So, George fought Gap, and Gap opened holes for him to fall into.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You remember all that?
I remember some of it.
That's good.
And we have Jessica, and Jessica fought Ronave. And Ronave is basically Genji.
Ronave just put up a shield and...
Mm-hmm. And just, like,
Jessica just punched the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, how the fuck does that translate to them fighting each other? Well...
They were, like, far away from each other, and he found George dead in one spot, and, like, out in the arbor, in that place where he proposes to Shannon all the time, every episode. But, and Jessica was found in her room.
Mm-hmm. That's where they were found. But, what about when could there have been any chance of them meeting? Like on the way?
Well, not on the way.
Not on the way.
But, what did Jessica say on the phone call to Badler?
She said that she was, like, already dead or some shit?
Yeah, she was like, oh, I'm already dead. Ronave had brought her back to life, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna... when you find me, my corpse, it'll be just a half a head. I'll be a corpse with half a head.
And so it's a...
And she tells him that George is already dead.
Right. And so... it seems that there is some sort of person who can, like, put on a face, kinda. And so maybe this kind of person is, like... What is it called? It's like shapeshifter, kinda. Like, they can change, like, voice changer, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so this person is the one who's trying to pull the strings, set things up, and then this person could be multiple people.
They could be multiple people.
Could be multiple people.
And they're Ronave and Gop?
Well, it's more like it's like yes, but it's more like they set this up so that it would be... It's more like they set it up, and then, like, their brains fill in the rest. Because they can fight with each other, like, kind of like unconsciously. Does that make sense?
No, explain more.
So essentially, this shapeshifter type person, changes themselves, and then basically they can just tell it like.
So are you saying they're like a real shapeshifter, just that they put on a disguise?
No, not real shapeshifter. Just like they can. Well, like, think about it, because it was a phone call. It could just be like they can just have their voice.
Yeah.
Like, it could just be like...
Oh, so you're saying that wasn't Jessica on the phone?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because she's already dead. Like, how can you die? How can, like, you're already dead? How does that make any sense? That makes no sense.
Well, Jessica could have called before she died. And just said that she was already dead.
Yeah, she just said, oh, yeah. Wait, but how does she know how she was gonna die?
I don't know. Maybe she was told what was going to happen. Maybe she knew every single person in the dining room had got their head smashed in half. And she was like, oh, maybe that's what'll happen to me.
Nah. Wait, how did she ever receive that information?
That's what, when Goda got back to the cousin's room, apparently he couldn't keep it in. He was so scared, he just said everything. Said everything that had happened, and that's how they knew what had happened. Because of fucking Goda.
Because of fucking Goda.
What an asshole.
Fucking spilling the beans and everything. So. So they weren't in the same physical location, but Jessica called from her room. George. I think I'm stuck.
Oh, do you want to go into the next one?
Yeah, let's go on to the next one.
Okay, the next murders are all of the murders.
Oh,
there was really only like 3 sets of murders in this episode.
Like
the first 6, then the next 2. Well, I guess Maria would count.
Yeah, Maria would count. But
and then also Battler at the end. That's the final mystery. But so they run out of the well and all of them die one by one, being shot by the Chester sisters. All who are left is Krause. Cannon gets hit when he's climbing up out of the well and falls in. Shannon and Nanjo die right outside of the well. Krause gets hit right when he got back inside of the house. And Kyrie is in a guest room, and that's where she calls Battler and tells him to believe in the witch. Why would Kyrie say that?
Because that's what she thought was going on. That's because she thought that, well, because Kyrie would say that because it's useful to believe in the witch in order to solve the riddle.
Okay. So, who killed them? Probably the same person. The shapeshifter?
Yeah, the shape-shifting type person, kind of. The person who's, like, pretending to be this... Like, it's the
successor. But who would that even be? The only people left alive other than them are Maria and Battler.
Dude. It could... could be any one of the adults.
Oh, you think one of them faked their deaths at the beginning?
That's possible. Since
except that's the reason why they only smashed half the heads, was so that you knew that it was them and that they didn't have a body double or anything.
Yeah, you knew it was them.
And you knew they were actually dead because half their head was smashed.
Right, yes. And so...
So I don't think any of them could have faked their deaths at the beginning.
No. But
the only person so far who could have faked their death might be George, because he didn't have half his face smashed.
Yeah. Because George could fill the roles of successor. George could do stuff like that. It's possible. It's maybe unlikely, but it's possible. So George could do something like that, or
I forget if they probably proclaimed and read that he was dead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm imagining that the siblings probably turned because remember in Higurashi.
Oh. Because Krause and Kyrie were the last 2 alive of those ones, and then they turned on each other at the end?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. So they were still, like, doing stuff. Maybe they are in on it together.
Maybe they made plans before the story.
Maybe.
Why are they in the prison then, and who comes and visits them?
Well, they're in the prison, that means they're safe. And then who comes to visit them? So who's dead at this point? Or who's not, who's able
Everybody except for Kyrie and Maria and the ones who are in the prison cell. Oh, and, we completely forgot. Fucking Kumasawa and Goda are in the storehouse.
Right. Yeah, so they can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that maybe George did something. Maybe George fucking set this up like with his parents. It's possible. Set this up with his parents.
With his parents, who were like the first people to die.
Maybe. I don't know. What kind of motive would that have? Maybe it would be.
If he did it, then I don't think. Well, maybe, but I'm not sure if his parents would have been in on that.
Yeah.
They really wanted to die.
Yeah, they want their baby boy to grow up and become.
They probably want to be there to watch him.
I guess. Oh wait, the servants are still. Most of the servants. Oh wait, never mind. Servants are mostly dead. Genji's dead. Shannon Cameron. Wait. But then, if Genji actually died, Genji couldn't have actually died.
Why?
Because Genji is Ranove, and then Ranove showed up to fight Jessica.
Yeah, except that Genji was definitely dead because he had half his face smashed.
Yeah, but then who is the one who said that Genji is Ranove?
Well, Jessica. It's because their name is like the same. Like Genji's last name. It was one of the first things you said when Ranove was first introduced. I remember you said, "Oh, like Genji."
Oh.
Like, because Genji's name is like Genji Rano or Rano.
Oh, right, I remember.
Something like that? Yeah.
Right. So it seems to be something related to names. Alright. I think... I don't want to say I'm stuck, but I think I'm stuck.
Okay, well, what do you think about Goda and Kumasawa's deaths? They were found in the garden shed, and they were hung, but the nooses, that wasn't what killed them. They were shot in the head or something.
Yeah.
And the nooses were long enough that they were able to stand on the floor perfectly, and that's all they were doing.
And so, it seems that this kind of shapeshifter type person probably did that. Wow. And so who could be the shapeshifter person who did that? Well, this could have happened pretty much any time between
when they locked them in there and any time in the 24 hours that Battler was alone all by himself.
Battler's alone all by himself.
Well, actually, no. He looked into the garden shed before the episode was over. It was before he went to go see Beatrice. It was before that.
Before he went
and they locked them in right before George and Jessica went for their trials, their tests.
Right. And so everyone was kind of locked up. So Virgilia came. That's who came. But then who? So there has to be some sort of mysterious shapeshifter type person. That's what I'm thinking. If it's real.
Do you have anything else to say about Goda and Kumasawa?
Goda and Kumasawa. There was no chance of suicide, right?
No, they didn't kill themselves. It was homicide.
No suicide. Homicide. So who could have had? Was there anything about the keys to the? There was like it's a closed room, yeah.
There was only one. There was only one key, and Goda had it in his pocket.
So maybe Goda let the person in.
How? How would they have locked it when they left? Shit! How the fuck would they have locked it when they left? There's no outside lock? The lock is on the outside.
But then, so the key could...
But the key was in Goda's pocket when Battler found him, though.
Yeah, when Battler found him. So he couldn't have...
Yeah, so he could have... So the killer could not have left with... Could not have locked the storage shed behind him after he killed them, because the key was in his pocket when Battler found him. And there was only one key, and it was locked. The storage shed was locked.
Listen, the lock's on the outside?
Yeah, the lock is on the outside. It's like a padlock. It's like a little bicycle lock or some shit.
Yeah, so he could have given the key to the killer. Wait, no. Oh, the killer...
That's how the killer would have gotten in. But how would the killer have locked the door again? He can't get Goda's help after Goda's dead.
Wait, he just gives him a key.
What do you mean? Well, how does he lock it when he leaves, though?
How does he lock it when he leaves? Because it's on the outside.
Yes, the lock is on the outside.
Yeah.
So how does he lock it?
When Goda's dead, he takes the key.
He takes the key?
Yeah.
No, because Goda had the key when Battler found him.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that.
That's what I kept saying.
Whoops, my bad. Jeez. No chance of a second key being made? Master key?
No, it said in red. There was only one key.
Only one key. Secret trapdoor. Trump card.
Okay. So is that all you have to say about that one?
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that one.
Okay. So Maria. What about Maria?
Maria seemed to have been poisoned by mysterious shape-shifting man, or he just set something up. He just set something up and was like, hey, here's your task, drink this glass of water. And then she did, but then she died. So, because Maria could just listen to instructions because she can read. It's like, oh, cool, let's just fucking do this.
And that's what you think happened to Maria?
That's what I think happened to Maria. I think she just fucking drank poison of her own free will.
Okay. So who do you think the mysterious shape-shifting person is?
So there are a few suspects, okay? I have Maria as a suspect.
Okay.
I have Kyrie and Kraus as other suspects. But then maybe at the end, like, their plan kind of went wrong. And that's how they died.
Okay, so at the very end, Beatrice gives him the final riddle. But I'm going to ask about a couple other things first, because there's a couple other mysteries in here. Remember when fucking what's-her-face, Anji, she's doing her detective work in the real world.
Right, yeah.
And she's at the boat captain's place. So Captain Kawabata or whatever he was, the pirate guy.
Pirate boy.
She's walking and then she sees something and she's pointing at it and she's like, oh, what's that? No, it can't be. What do you think that she was pointing at?
What do you think she was pointing at?
Yeah, what do you think she saw at Captain Kawabata's house?
Like a physical object, or like what do I think like happened?
What? You don't think it was a physical object? You don't think she saw something?
I think she might have hallucinated something. Or I'm using that card a little bit too much. Alright, let's not use that card too much. Let's say... What did she see? What? But they never showed us it. I don't know what it could be.
Well, they never showed us it, but then the scene after where she goes and talks to Beatrice and Maria in their Golden Land little place, that gives her some pretty big hints as to what she saw.
Possibly the music box? some sort of... Oh, Sakutaro. Maybe.
But I thought that Rosa made the only Sakutaro.
Alright. Rosa, maybe...
That's why Maria couldn't revive it. That's why Beatrice couldn't revive it.
So scene with Maria, and so they revived something. They did revive Sakutaro, didn't they? Or no? They were like, let go of Sakutaro.
Anji did.
Anji did.
Anji did in the Golden Land. That's how she got Maria to leave the Golden Land. And that's how she broke the Golden Land, because there needed to be at least 2 people.
So what did she see? So... Saw some tea? I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Okay, let's move on to the final riddle. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to ask you about. So Beatrice says, "You're the only person on the island, Battler, and I'm going to kill you right now. Who am I?" And she says that in red, pretty much all of that.
What do you mean pretty much all of that?
Well, I forget if she asked who am I in red, but I don't know.
Okay.
That doesn't matter. That's just a question.
Okay. So, how is she going to kill Battler?
Well, the question wasn't how. The question was, who am I?
Oh, right, yeah. Who am I?
Who is the culprit? Who is going to kill Battler? There's no one else on the island. Battler's the only person there, and he's about to get murdered. In a homicide. It's going to be a homicide.
It's hallucination, imagination. I think that's what's going to happen. Hallucination, imagination. Because that's what happened with Nanjo. That's what I think came to a head during this 4th episode, is like the hallucinations. Like just super hallucinations.
Okay.
That were set up by some sort of mysterious person who knows his way around.
Okay.
This stuff.
And is that everything?
I think that's everything.
Okay, so before we end, there's a comment that I wanted to read.
Does it say that Mike is stupid? And he doesn't know anything?
No, it doesn't say that you're stupid. Remember at the very end of the episode when all those red words flashed across the screen really quickly?
Yeah.
Someone commented what those words were.
Ooh.
So, I'm gonna find it. You talk about something.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about something. So, dude, there's like so much fucking cool stuff you can do when you meditate. I had no fucking idea that you can feel weird shit when you meditate. I had no idea.
Okay. This is what Beatrice says in the red, and all those red bloody words that popped up on screen really quickly. She says, "Please kill me quickly. Try to stop me. If only you would never come back. I wish I had never been born. Why am I unable to love anyone? Please, I don't care what conclusion this comes to. Just kill me and bring my legend to an end.
Aww.
If you won't do that, you die instead."
Aw, Beatrice is like depression.
Yep, that's what you think of that?
That's what I think of that.
Okay, yeah, that comment was from April. I just thought, because I kind of read a little bit of it, but it went real quickly, so I wanted to make sure you got the whole thing there.
Right, yeah.
And it did a similar thing in the end there, but it's Battler. Battler says to Beatrice, "I'll kill you."
Right.
And, yeah, it flashes the red bloody words. Okay, and then other than that, I don't think there's anything else we have to talk about.
Yeah, maybe they're all like mental illnesses. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, everybody, goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Goodbye.
Bye.